It's time for Real Estate 101 with the Carrie Brown team from Preferred Advisors.
Hello. Thanks for listening to Real Estate 101. This is Carrie Brown, Associate Broker of eXp Realty and the Preferred Advisors team, and you're listening to Real Estate 101. Just in case you haven't heard the past shows, this particular radio show is going to be going to a video blog. So the end of February will be the last show for Real Estate 101. The video blog will have... It'll be a lot more detailed. So we'll have old shows, we'll have new shows. So the show will still keep going, but it'll just be on a different platform. So I'll be including photos. Let's just talk, for instance, Tammy Thiessen with Thiessen Design Co. We'll have photos before and after, her story, just things that you can really dive into and really see what it is that my guests are doing. I think it will make more sense than just listening to it on the radio. Same thing here with the lumber woman who is with me this morning. She does so many really great things, and it's really hard to visualize when you're just listening to it. So you'll be able to see all of that and ask questions. So if you wanted to place an order or have a consult, you'll be able to actually do that on the blog. So that'll be going out, so be sure and watch for it. You'll at the end of the month, if you search for Real Estate 101 with Carrie Brown, and I have a weird first name, my parents were creative, it's Karey. Real Estate 101 with Carrie Brown. You'll be able to see that blog and start following it. So be sure and look for that. And I am here with Tina Clausen with The Lumber Woman. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you.
So we have been... we started on all of my projects and then realized that I was needing more epoxy. So I just ordered 30 gallons of epoxy. That's going to be a heavy load when it arrives. But so far, so good. I mean, nothing major. So today we're going to be talking about tips and tricks, things that she's learned along the way, and a lot of cool stuff that she's up to. So let's start with tips and tricks.
All right. Some of the things, especially with epoxy. So all the epoxies are not created equal. That is one thing that's for sure. So the biggest thing that will help is trying to find the epoxy that works for you and that as far as the least amount of bubbles and gives you enough work time that if you have mistakes that you can fix it. That is one of the biggest things that I've been working on. I will be soon, here within the next few months, I'm going to start carrying my own line of epoxy. Then that way, if you want to come in, you want to try it out and check it, I'll have different things that you can see what I have. And then also, I'll continue to do some classes. I'm going to limit size, just like 2 or 3 at a time with everything going on. And but that way, give everybody an idea of what it is and what they're working with, and as far as seeing you can see it in a smaller batch instead of buying a big batch and then not liking it or not understanding what it's all about. And then I'm trying to think of some other tips I would have is obviously a lot of research, and then making sure your layout is kind of what you're wanting. And basically just take time because the epoxy is, it's so expensive and you want to make sure you do it right. And then the other thing is, as far as the epoxy goes, is making sure you're in between like 70, 75 degree heated room, because if not, your epoxy just won't set right. And then the other thing is if you're too hot, though, I've done this too, it will cure real fast. So you don't want to really be over 75. So that gives you about a 20-minute window that you can work with. That's some of the biggest tips and tricks I can give, especially considering epoxy.
So a couple of things that I learned just with hanging out with you doing what we're doing in my garage. Fortunately, my husband has a heater, and I think it actually got over 70 because it didn't take very long for that to set up. But whenever we were putting in the boards and putting down the epoxy, she had brought cinder blocks with her to hold the wood down so that all the epoxy didn't just float up underneath our wood.
Yes.
Which I would have never thought about.
Yeah, I've learned that one too, kind of the hard way. If you want that epoxy to stay in there as much as possible. So, you want some weight on it. You can utilize different things that you have, but just to keep that epoxy in there because, it's just like water. It's going to try to flow into any open cracks and stuff. And so some of it will, but that's where, like, it's kind of the first layering. I don't get too crazy with, and I let that harden first. So then that way, that's a solid base for my following pours.
So if you follow me on Facebook at all, you notice that, so the color that we're using is black with all of the wood that we're doing. And the reason why is because it's going into Brown's Tree Service, which is, a lot of testosterone, dirty hands, dirty guys. And so black seemed to make more sense than, white. So, slight panic moment whenever we opened it up and realized that there's like glitter in it. And I'm thinking, that's going to go over well. But it actually turned out to be really pretty because it's almost like a silver streak throughout it. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. It's the metallics are really neat. I've really enjoyed them. That's a lot I do with the reds and walnut. It just looks so cool to me. And but, I mean, you can do the blues as well. Blues would be cool on a lot of the lighter wood, and then I think the blacks. Black is awesome because it can go with any of it, and it's just like a really neat, accent to whatever kind of wood you have. So I think the black in there looked really neat, and even like you said, like the little crystals looking, or a little shimmer, but not too crazy shimmer.
Yeah, it was a true moment.
Yes.
Explaining glitter to my husband, but he came home and got to look at it, and he was like, "Oh, you know what? I really like it."
That's good. I was wondering if he was able to see it yet.
Yeah, he has. And then he had an idea for the island, which Tina doesn't even know yet. Oh. The island. He was like, "What do you think about putting a chief's arrowhead in the middle of the island?" Yeah. So I've ordered that from my friend Nicole, so she's going to get that placed, which means that we'll have to have at least a clear top coat to go over the top of that. So.
All right. Yeah, that would be neat. I'm glad then he's adding his own touch.
Yeah.
That's kind of the cool thing always. So, that's one of the things I've always liked about with the epoxy is a lot of it, if it's tailored to you and what you want, and it's like what you want to see every day. And it's not, that's always my thing. Like in the box stores, you get a table, but there's like 500 other people at least have that same table. And like everything we're creating here, they're going to go in there and no one else is going to have that, So it's like one of a kind.
Yeah, I was trying to get him to put Chief's Kingdom on it, but he just wanted to keep it simple and just do an arrowhead.
That's awesome.
Because it's a really long piece anyway.
Right.
But yeah, there will be a Chief's emblem in the kitchen island in the break room. So
that'll be cool. Yeah, I'm excited to see that.
So, and then I have got so many. If you don't use Pinterest, you're missing out. I'm just telling you. I have so many boards on Pinterest that it's insanity. I think I have like 18,000 followers on Pinterest.
Oh, wow.
That's how many boards I have. Wow. It's insane. So anyway, I have like boards because the desk that I want to do will be very beachy, very much off of the black that's going on right now. But there are so many ideas. I mean, and wood is never the same.
Right.
So she's right. You definitely... You'll have a one of a kind piece.
Yeah.
Other tips. I was trying to think. There was another thing that you had taught me. Oh, I thought, if you watch Pinterest or YouTube, they look like they're pouring the entire table at once.
Right.
But I think whenever you really look at it, they're just showing you progression. I don't know that they really are.
No. I would have a hard time seeing it. Now that I've been doing it, that they could do it all at once, like maybe a smaller one, but you still know, like the wood absorbs, and so some of that is still going to, so it'll, what did he say, detract or like, what I mean? So you'll have to pour another layer, a thin layer over it again, more than likely. But there's nothing wrong with going in stages. It makes me feel more comfortable, and I think it's easier for like people just learning as well. And that's the same thing. If, for whatever reason, if you don't have a solid seal and your epoxy starts pouring out, I mean, you're losing hundreds of dollars. And so it's like you really want to make sure that you got a solid base before you pour your big money one, because that is scary stuff right there.
Yeah, and whenever you see the price tag on some of these tables, you think, wow, that's expensive. Price epoxy.
Yeah. Yes. No, and that is, the epoxy is so expensive, but yes. And then it's also time with it, and then trying to understand, and then like, oh shoot, this isn't going to work, so you got to do this and that. And I think that's the thing, like when I do quote the tables, and they are more expensive, but it's just like there's so many details that go into it and so much time. And, I don't have a machine that's doing it. This is all me. And so I have to be careful. I have to sand. And afterwards, we're going to be sanding and making sure everything's level. So it's just, there's a lot of things that go into it that people, it's hard until you do it yourself or see it done that you understand exactly what is going on.
Absolutely. There's a lot just watching in the little bit that we've done so far, which there will be progression pictures coming up. I had to order, obviously I had just gone to the store locally and got my epoxy, and there's a big price difference in just going to the store versus buying. U.S. Composite is where I got that 30 gallons from, which I would have never even known existed had I not met Tina. So I got all of my epoxy, hopefully all of my epoxy, 30 gallons worth, to finish those tables. So in the island and everything. So yes, definitely get with somebody who knows what they're doing. I would have never known. So, and it's all coming in. They mix it at the same whenever they get the order, so it's not like just sitting around on the shelf.
Right.
Now, a couple of things that I learned. You like to stir yours by hand.
Yes.
And this girl's got some serious upper body strength, because I think I felt like I lasted 10 minutes, but I think I lasted 2. Because it was just like stir. Holy smokes, this stuff is thick.
Yes, it is some thick stuff. You can do buy like a bit for the drill, which we'll probably do.
Oh, we will.
Yeah. So most of the stuff I don't do more than like a gallon at a time. But like obviously in this scenario, I feel like once we get the layers down on each of them, then we can do more like a 5-gallon pour. And I would feel confident then that we got everything taken care of. But yes, then I'll definitely need it, because that gallon one, it was it gets tougher there, but because you want to do it anywhere from like 4 to 7 minutes, and you want to make sure, because it'll start, you put it together, it's clear, and then as you stir, it gets hazy, and then you want to go till it gets clear again, and then that's when you start putting in your colorant, your metallics, and different stuff that you want added to it. So that way it's completely stirred together first.
Yeah, and it's definitely an upper body workout because it's so thick, because you've got A and B mixed together, and you're trying to get those together. But the epoxy will not be in for a little bit, because I did order such a large order, and it takes so many business days to get here. And so there is a delay in the pictures getting loaded, just simply because we're waiting for more epoxy. But there will be definitely more coming out, so that you can kind of see the progression in what we're doing, because we're doing several at one time. 2 tables and a bar and a desk, and then I have one that actually there won't be any epoxy on it. It is just the island, or the bar top for the reception area. And then I found some really cool pictures of the bathroom that we're going to do. So the bathroom vanities will actually be made out of wood that'll be suspended by a brace and chains. So
yeah. No, I need to get you those pics too, or you need to come by the shop. But I have an idea. There's one of my millers. He brought over. They're not very big, but they're about 4 feet. But they would be like 25 inches wide, and so it's like perfect countertop. But it's an oak, and it had metal, and it like through the veins, it has the black through it. Looks really cool. So I kind of feel like it goes along with the theme. If you got a silver or a black sink, and then had that, and then just either a polyurethane, or you can epoxy it, whatever. But yeah, it would definitely, I think the black would look really neat.
Oh, and I just automatically agree with her. I don't even need to see it. So I'm pretty excited, though. My husband, whenever I started down this path, I thought he was going to think I was nuts, but he actually really likes it, and artwork and everything, which we'll be posting. We'll send out. He doesn't know this yet, but I think he should do a grand opening and just kind of share it and let everybody see it. And so should be pretty cool. We are going to take a break for a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back to talk more about projects that she's been up to and see if we can get some questions that you might have out there answered.
Are you looking for a career that provides you with wealth based on your level of effort, with multiple levels of income, including passive long-term income? If you are interested in real estate or are currently a real estate agent and want to work with a company that wants you to retire with long-term passive income, call your local eXp Realty agent today. And if you don't know one, call Carrie Brown at 785-249-6309. You deserve more of what you work so hard to earn, and eXp is where you should be. In today's world, health is a huge concern, and Euphoria has the answer. Euphoria is the one and only company to offer personalized designer nutritional supplements based upon your DNA profile with nearly 400 million unique formulas. A DNA test unlocks the secrets to your actionable genes and their influence on your body. Euphoria's home-based DNA non-invasive saliva kit is all you need to send your sample to the lab. You'll receive a customized report addressing your DNA deficiencies with an action plan. To learn more, go to myfuture.euphoriascience.com. Make 2021 your healthiest year yet.
Does your dirty air ducts have you continuously dusting? Ditch the dust brush for our duct truck. Capital City Duct Cleaning is Topeka's new veteran-owned air duct and dryer vent cleaning service. Call today, 785-484-2801, or visit us online at capitalcityductcleaning.com for your free quote.
Southwest Topeka has a good neighbor. State Farm agent Jim Garrison, now at 29th and Urish. If your current insurance situation has you going around in circles, get off the roundabout and stop in and meet Jim and his wonderfully efficient staff. Let Jim Garrison give you a quote and make the Garrison comparison. He's confident that with State Farm's competitive rates, the right coverage, and his unmatched service, you'll want to make him your new insurance agent. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and Jim Garrison is there for you, northeast of the roundabout at 29th and Urish.
Thanks for joining us again. This is Carrie Brown, Associate Broker with eXp Realty and the Preferred Advisors team, and you're listening to Real Estate 101, and I am back with Tina Clausen, and she is the owner of the Lumber Woman & Co. I keep dropping the & Co.
That's okay.
It's just early. I have no other excuse. So before the break, we were talking about a couple of our projects and things that I've learned from her so far, but you've got other projects working, so let's talk about those.
Okay. Some of the projects right now. Well, this Saturday, there's one that I'm donating. It's a charcuterie board, and you could also use it as a cutting board or whatever, but it's going to a silent auction. It'll be held at the Woodshed, and then I also have I'm working on like a piece. It's not just live edge, but these are pieces I did pick up from like Menards, and I stained them, and I'm putting a polyurethane over it. And then also she asked me to stain 5 chairs for her, and I think it'll be a really neat set. And then she's having someone local make the legs for her. And then I also have coming up will be another bar top. And then the piece they really loved was 2 inches short. And so my thought was if we added 2 inches with epoxy in the back. And so they both like the red also, and they're redoing their basement, and it would be like an accent piece. And I think so it'll be like the main bar top, like countertop, and then there'll be another piece on top. But I'm going to do them the same, and they're from the same wood, and I think it'll look really neat. And then I have a river table set in there that I've been working on. There'll be 2 dining room tables, and then, or not 2 coffee tables, and then there's that 1 dining room table that I'm finishing up now. And so some people like to have the sets kind of the same piece looking, and I really like it too. So you have the same wood, the same texture, the same look. And then I also had a couple coming in. They had their own wood already, and they had it milled, and then they were asking if I could make the pieces for them. And I think the coolest part is he was so opposed to the whole epoxy. And then when he came in and he saw some of it, like, the game changed. Like, now all of a sudden, he was like, oh, yes, this and this color. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you can do whatever you want with it. So now I'll be making 3 pieces for them and using the color that they choose with the wood that they've cut and dried for them. So,
speaking of cutting and drying, you have other services besides just making the tables.
yes. So also, if you end up, even if you buy from someone else or you have it yourself, I can still get it surfaced, which that just means is leveling it off, because most of the time the millers are going to cut your wood thicker, and that way it gives you kind of a leeway as far as it'll still be like 1.5 to 2 inches then, hopefully, by the time it's done surfacing, so you still have the thicker live edge look. And then I also have kiln services. I haven't posted too much about it because I do have a fellow who's been using it now for the past year, just because he's had so much wood. But that's also another service I have. And from there, it's just, it's just, I guess anyone can come in and talk to me. And if they have some different ideas, I'm always willing to try different things and to see what else we can do to, make the table of your dreams. So that's kind of where, it doesn't just have to be from me. It can be from someone else as well. So,
and you think, I mean, a lot of times people have planted trees like in memory of somebody, and you hate to, if something were to happen to the tree and have to take it down, it would be nice to turn it into something that continues to give you that memory.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's more than just,
Right. And that was kind of the big draw to me initially was the neighbors from from where the trees were that first that we had to cut down. They were older and they cried. One of them even hugged the tree because he knew it had to come down, and it was like, oh my goodness. But the irony always is, and I always think there's like a story behind it, but that same neighbor, he also ended up getting a mantle for his house then, and so that's kind of the biggest thing is I really love the whole idea of nature and the trees, and it doesn't go away. Like now, someone else can enjoy it for another 100 years, and it still has a piece in their house, in their home. So it's like preserving it, but just in a different form,
Yeah, and like a mantle or a furniture piece you can take with you when you go.
Yes.
Mantles are typically, in real estate world, they're attached. So if you're going to take it off, you need to replace it. But yeah, definitely, They could continue to take that until...
Yes, well, and even the furniture pieces, even the ones that I make, I started it in high school is when I started woodworking. And the pieces I made, I still have with me 20-some years later. And so... I still haven't even revarnished them. I mean, they turned out really good. And so I think that, too. I think even if you're spending more money right now, I mean, you're looking at these pieces, they should last you at least another 50 to 100 years. So you figure out a $2,000 table like that, like it is worth that, And I think people just need to look at the long term versus the short term. When you spend that much more money on it, like you're going to get, you're going to get decades out of it, not just 5 years, and then you got to buy another table.
And it's a statement piece.
Right. Exactly.
It's one of a kind, all yours. Nobody can ever really actually duplicate it because wood is not duplicatable.
Right. Exactly.
Not in that sense, especially whenever you start doing like river tables and things like that.
Yes.
I mean, just it is truly one of a kind, and beautiful. I mean,
yeah.
My husband and I have never been huge fans of epoxy either, which is really weird to hear me say.
Right.
But like our kitchen, the wood that is on our kitchen cabinets, our countertops, is live edge, and we did water locks, which is really very handy because if it gets scratched, you just sand it down, clean it up, and then reseal it. Whereas epoxy would be a little bit more, I think, involved.
Yes.
So we really like that, and we'll actually be using that on the top over the epoxy to put the shine on. Just because, again, we're going to be the tables, especially in the bar, the kitchen bar part, will be utilized in all the staff meetings and the team meetings and stuff. So getting scratched is a possibility.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
So, what kind of things do you typically seal with obviously Waterlocks is one of them. What other
Right.
types of things have you used?
So you can actually, you can do several different things too, because obviously, like some of the bar tops, like people really like the epoxy just in general. So I have sealed even the whole thing with epoxy. The other thing is you can do a polyurethane over it after you fill the cracks or whatever. Then you can do that. And really, there's oils. You can do an oil too. You just have to be careful. Well, on that, if you do an oil, that's fine. It's just if you, like, let's just say you just make sure your epoxy is taken care of first in the holes and stuff before you put the oil on, because the epoxy won't adhere as well. And so that is the biggest thing you have to make sure to do. But then after that, you can coat it with an oil, a tongue oil. There's really no wrong. A lot of it's just like the biggest thing is just like, what's the longevity and what are you going to use it for? That's what you just want to make sure you figure out before you put a finish on. But let's just say it doesn't work for you. Then that's the other good thing with having such a thicker piece. You just go back and you sand the whole thing again, and then you can redo it how you want it. That's kind of the blessing with it being so thick. You can do different things with it. So
Absolutely. It's actually really fun.
yes, I love it.
So heat gun.
Oh yes.
So I went out and got one, and all I remembered is somebody telling me that they had gotten one for small projects and that it didn't get hot enough. So I got one that has all these little dial things that you can, jack it way up. But what I didn't know, and you taught me, is not to hold it in one place for too long.
Yes. Yes. You can burn it. So that's kind of the other trick-ish to it, is you don't want to get too close, but you don't want to be too far away, because you do want to make sure you're popping the bubbles and stuff. The one of the things I have noticed too, and I think this is why the metallics and the colors in there is your bubbles are not as bad, right? Or you just can't see them as easily. And so with the clear, you can definitely see it more, and you want to make sure you don't have them in there, So that's kind of the good thing with having a colorant, is because I think you just can't see any of the mistakes or anything that's not as perfect. So, but yeah, the heat gun can be, you don't want to have it too close, but you don't want to be too far away. So you're trying to always kind of find a balance with it, because it will start smoking and burning. So you have to be careful.
I didn't do that, though. Nothing caught on fire. I saw no smoke. It is really fun, though, watching the bubbles pop.
Yes. It's kind of relaxing.
Yeah. I'm like one of those people, that the little bubble wrap that comes in. I just want to sit and, be very irritating and just pop the bubbles that are in the little bubble wrap. It's kind of like that, just watching it go, pop, 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 pop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how we place the boards. When Tina got there, she was like, okay, I think we should flip this one. And when she did, it was like, oh, okay, this is the way that this is supposed to go. So maybe if you don't like the layout of what you're doing, just turning them around. So I think we either just flipped the board over, or maybe we turned it and turned it all the way around. I can't remember now.
Yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, or what I feel like it's kind of a blessing in disguise for myself, I can always see it before. I usually know what I want that wood to be before it is. And it always feels crazy, because I'll think, I know what you're going to do. And then sure enough, someone will come in and they will make that. And then I'll suggest to them, I think you should do it this way or that way. And most people are really good about it. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that looks really awesome. And so, but yes, that's exactly it, is looking out the layout and then messing it around with it a couple times if you can move it easily, so you can find exactly what you want to see every time you walk in that room.
Yeah, it definitely changed completely. And one of my friends, and she's got a really good sense of design, and she really loved this one particular table, but she didn't love the one that we flipped the boards around. And it's the first one that we've actually put the color into. And she's like, what did you do differently? I'm like, we just flipped it around. And she was like, I love it now. So crazy. But we're already out of time. So we will be back next Saturday to talk more. Tell them real quick how you'd like for them to get a hold of you.
The best way to get a hold of me would be on Facebook, and that's the Lumberwoman and Company. And you can always just leave me a message. I usually try to get back. I check my phone several times throughout the day, and that's the best way. I'll get back to you right away.
And if you're looking to buy or sell, be sure and give us a call at 785-213-5188.
Thank you for listening to Real Estate 101 with the Carrie Brown team from Preferred Advisors.